Hello again, Earth. We got interrupted by a phone call. I own a small business. It's gonna happen. Elsa, fix a little of this. But I was in the middle of something very important, and I don't want to end this thought because it's a heavy thought to just leave hanging, and I'm not a cliffhanger kind of person. So I was talking about too many things at once because, I think I have a little ADD. Self-deletion is an important subject to me. And so I was talking about Jonathan Brandis and his very sad passing in 2003, and then talking about how the technique has a lot to say about what their intent is or where they are in their place, and like how women rarely use firearms to do it. And I think the long and short of that is men know how quick and fast that is. And women very often want to be found. And that's why so many women will take pills. Because I've only meditated on this for like 4 decades, I have lots of different theories about it. I also think cutting is usually someone who wants to be found and wants to be shocking. Obviously, they're all a cry for help. I can't tell you how many people, I'm so sorry about the shaking, that lost a father very, very, very suddenly because something unexpected happened and they panicked. And I even heard someone say this the other day on YouTube, that it's often a panic choice. And if we can make this a more comfortable subject by not making it a fancier, safer word like self-deletion, but actually saying suicide and talking about this, maybe we can prevent a few. I was talking about Cartman's mom and the way she took her life before having to do the Oscars and how terrifying that must have been, and why I think she chose to do something as drastic as a shotgun. And so then I get to the subject of getting back to John. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back because I was also talking about Hunter Thompson, who you might sense that I get mad still when I talk about these people, but I adored Hunter Thompson, and not just because it's, woo, drugs are great. He was a really funny author, and he was just this beautiful Colorado gem. I was so proud that he lived in Aspen and all of this stuff, and I was legit furious when he died. And his suicide note was about how football season is over. And then I was talking about Rolling Stone, and they mentioned that he was in a lot of pain, and I too am in a lot of pain. And I've done a lot of work to deal with that pain without being altered, without being strange for my children, without compromising my values and putting out others. I don't take my pain out on other people. I don't even brag or complain about it to strangers, because what are they gonna fucking do? I just tried to be my own bubbly, annoying self as much as possible. And if you get to know me, I might tell you why I walk with a cane. It's not because I'm pretentious. But so in my 20s, when he died, I was like, okay, if he's in constant pain, that does explain a lot. But the motherfucker called up his wife and did it on the phone with her. And that is not okay. They had fought about it endlessly. He had talked about suicide. He had tortured her talking about suicide. And she had begged him, please, no, don't. You have so much to live for. You have all this money. Do all the drugs you want. I don't care. And he knows he's going to do it. He calls his his son up. He has his grandson there. And his wife goes, I think, to work out at a place where there are the machines, a gym. And he calls her up on the phone. And he shoots himself on the phone with her just to have that one last. And it just makes me so mad. So the book I was going to write was going to be called, I can't believe it's escaping me right as I get to this point. And it's no coincidence. It's a coincidence. It's a crazy coincidence. Someone wrote the George Carlin biography, and it's the same title. God damn it! What was I gonna call it? It's like hanging up on someone. It's so final and just like, I can't believe I have forgotten the name of my goddamn book. Fuck. But so I was gonna write a book about celebrity suicide because I'm just fun and cheery that way. It was gonna be a little funny. But not terribly funny because this is the subject we're talking about. But so when Hunter died, a bunch of people wrote articles about him, and Rolling Stone released them all in one beautiful gilded cover. And all of them, including Johnny Depp's, was they all had a great story. It's usually involving drugs. Johnny talked about staying up with him when he was doing Fear and Loathing, and that he was staying in like a basement room, and there was this barrel and an ashtray on it, and he's like, "Hey Hunter, what is this barrel?" And he's like, "Oh, that's my keg of gunpowder. I've been looking for that for years." And he almost blew everybody to kingdom come just by smoking cigarettes. And did that stop Johnny from smoking cigarettes like a train? No, it did not. Great story, but also not totally authentic, because the only one who is authentic in the entire issue was Jack Nicholson. And Jack was outright honest, and he said, "I'm mad at you. You're my best friend. Who's going to wake me up at 3:00 in the morning? Who's going to annoy the shit out of me? No one now. And I am so mad at you for this." And I was like, "Thank you, Jack. You are the only one who's being honest. Everybody else is putting on some sort of bullshit facade that this is some sort of honorable romantic thing to do. And this is the truth." I don't think this is your first rodeo, Jack. I think this is pain you've experienced before, because it's, like I was saying, it's a different kind of pain. You cannot blame anybody else but the person who did it. And that is so hard, because when someone dies, anger is one of the grief levels. And where are you going to put it? What else can you do? I can't be mad at the drunk driver. I can't just be seething at cancer. It's you did this to me. And then why do they do it? Do they want you to feel bad about something, about a conversation, about something you did when you were 15? Are you even thinking about them at all? No, but everybody you know is going to think about you forever and blame themselves. No matter if they haven't talked to you in 20 years, they're going to go, "It's because I haven't talked to him in 20 years. So when someone takes their own life, it affects everyone. And like I said, I've meditated on this for 40 years. And Bruce Rivers has it down. I knew that I connected with that man on a special level, and he's a survivor, and so is his son. And he said, I hate platitudes, but it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, unfortunately, is a very accurate thing to say. But you're putting your problems on everybody else, is what Bruce said. And he's so right about that. I can't get over it. I was like, how have I never thought of this? I love Bruce Rivers so much. He's so funny. He's so prolific. He's making the world a better place. And his son, it does great editing. And drop everything and check out Bruce Rivers. He's great. And he doesn't feel sorry for himself. He does talk about his dad quite a bit, and he's really honest about it. Lots of F-bombs, and it's fascinating. So check out Bruce Rivers, especially if you like rap moguls and rap stars that are in trouble, which the list is endless, because he knows the community very well, and he's just a goddamn badass. Anyway, that's my Bruce Rivers diatribe. But so I was talking about how women don't shoot themselves very often, and they like to take pills and cut themselves because they want to be found. Lupe Velez is a beautiful example of that. She wanted to be found in a perfect... the old Frasier story is 100% correct. She was a silent movie actress. She did not make the transition to talkies. She was very, very beautiful and vain, and she wanted the world to remember her that way. And so she took a bunch of barbiturates and laid down on her beautiful 4-poster bed to be found in this elegant fairy tale scene. And everybody's going to mourn our loss of Lupe Velez. And Lupe apparently didn't eat the right thing before she took all the barbiturates, and she was found with her head in the toilet. So there's so many reasons not to kill yourself, unless Lupe Vanez is a perfect example of, but what if you're found in the toilet? You know, if you're so upset you don't give a shit, then I understand. Which is why I think porn stars shoot themselves. The other thing about women not shooting themselves is the vanity aspect. They want to remain beautiful. So they say, well, they take pills so their face doesn't look different. And I also think it's because it's painless-ish and they want to be found. They don't really want to die. But people who shoot themselves, there's not getting much around that. And the other one that intrigues me so much, George Carlin talked about people who jump off a bridge. I talked about seeing his only improv moment of, but why do they take off their shoes? And what was crazy about that is I witnessed that moment where he said, I should write a joke for that. I really should have a punchline. And I was like, yes, I saw an improv moment from George Carlin. And then he ends up with like a 22-minute stand-up bit about suicide, and that part isn't in it. He doesn't ask, why do they take off their shoes? So I watched this whole evolution of this wonderful piece of material, and it was amazing to see how you can start with something and end up with something completely different. And I studied him. He probably thought I was a stalker, really. But at any rate, I got off on a George Carlin tangent because that's what I do. But I've always been extra intrigued by people who hang themselves because they mean it. And my, did she do that because I talked to her about it moment was I was 18, I had a coffee shop, and a woman who worked in the tattoo parlor, all of this is on Colfax. That's why coffee and tattoo, of course. Her wife was very suicidal, constantly torturing her with it, constantly guilt tripping her and terrifying her. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And she finally did it. And she hung herself on her bed with her dog leash. And so like every suicide is a mystery. Even if they leave a note, there's still always going to be, but why did they choose this thing? And why did they do that thing? And your goddamn dog leash, what did you have against the dog? And the thing is I had told her my theory about suicide 2 weeks before, that people who hang themselves really mean it, because you have a lot of time to think about what you're doing. You have to find a strong branch or overhang. And doing the knot correctly is hard to do. And if you get it wrong, it's very painful. And I held on to that for a little bit. But at her funeral, someone else mentioned that it wasn't her first hanging attempt. And so I could let go of that because I didn't give her the idea. Isn't that selfish of us to assume that I have the power to put that in their brain to the point where they would actually do that? So, but you see, that's my point, is when you take your own life, the people who know you and love you are going to wonder and blame themselves forever. And it's not fair. And the younger you are, the more you want that. But I think the older you get, the more you understand that that's not exactly, it's, a lot of people are just in a bad headspace and they're not thinking about anything but themselves. That's the thing I used to always talk about. It's like, it's the most selfish thing a person can do. It's the most self-absorbed thing you can do. Someone said it's like worse than masturbation. I'll buy that. It's just very, very selfish. And so I ask you to look outside of yourself and think of how you are affecting others. And if you think they are better off without you, you are fucking wrong. And it will get better, and just give it 24 hours, man. Like in recovery, it's like, I really want to use, okay, I'm going to wait 24 hours. And if I still have this uncurable itch to use, I will. And every time you take a nap and wake up and have maybe a chocolate chip cookie, you're going to be like, well, not today, Satan. So there's that. But Jonathan chose to hang himself, and that he did it in the hallway of his apartment building is also sus to me, because he wanted to be found. He definitely wanted to ruin someone's day. He wanted it to be in his apartment. And the whole Forever 27 thing is a whole different thing. It's not you know, so many people OD, and I heard a thing in herb school, and I thought this was really fascinating, and it's always stayed with me, that you know how our organs regenerate cells, and like your kidneys are different kidneys every like 2 years, and your skin is different every 7 years. All of us are a brand new person officially, cellularly, every 7 years. So there's something cosmically at 27 that these people are not ready to be 28. And the person who threw that theory at me was not able to explain it. And I still don't know what that thing is, but I love that it's on a cellular level that people will OD at 27 because they're not ready to be 28 cosmically. There's that. So Hunter Thompson, I'm still mad at. He's still a dick. And Jonathan Brandis, I still think about you. And I know that you never got your comeback, and no one's gone, let's watch Ladybugs again, especially since I was thinking about this. Oh, that's a pretty iffy movie now, because it's about a boy who dresses up as a girl to help his uncle on the soccer team. And that is so taboo now. Like, you would have to cut like 80% of the jokes. There's a scene where he's got a crush on a girl on the team, and she knows him as his sister or cousin or something, and so she knows that the cousin is there, and so he has to run downstairs and put on the wig and be like, oh, I'm Martha, and then, oh, but where did your brother go? And she's like, oh, I'll go get him, and he runs off, and he comes out, hey, how you doing? And I'm all in love with you. And it's just like, it is like the stupidest rom-com, bad TV show, sitcom, situation bullshit, like, Miss Doubtfire, as uncomfortable as it is, got it right. And this movie did the best they could. And it would be so taboo. It makes me love it even more because it's so like inappropriate now. And so you're a piece of history, Jonathan, and I think about you often, and you are missed and appreciated, and you know, you were never going to be Leonardo DiCaprio, but you know what? You needed to know that was okay. But you didn't. Nobody told you. And I sense that his parents, like, they were way into the fame thing. They let him start modeling at like 2 years old. So I feel like there's a little pressure there. And I just wish he had found the freedom of anonymousness, of like, it's hard to be famous, and he didn't know any other life. I wish he had a minute to enjoy not being famous so he could appreciate that it's okay to not be famous anymore, because being recognized is a pain in the ass, and not having any sense of privacy, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. So yeah, that was a lot. I'm always a lot, and I need to get this lot off, so I'm giving it to you. And so this is why I'm obsessed with crime. This is why I'm obsessed with death. This is why I'm obsessed specifically with self-deletion. And hey, if you want to hear me pontificate some more, please come hang out with me. Otherwise, it's okay. You can move on. I'm cool. I'm secure in myself enough to know that I don't need anybody but myself and my new puppy who keeps hurting me. Like and subscribe.